Nice. Got something. Oh, it is a beast of a fish. That's another fish. Another fairly sizable something. What an absolute monster. Beautiful fish. What is going on, guys? Down on that carp lake that floods quite easily. Again, I've bought a range of rods. I'm going to try some ultralight, try and catch a fish, hopefully perch or zander, maybe a little pike. But we are using fluoro on there, so I'm hoping for the perch and zander. We're going to switch up to the medium kit, go with the Goldie, that 16 centimeter Fox Rage Pro Grub, and see if we can get some pike. Let's get fishing. We're just going to chuck out the drunk bait for a few casts, nothing major. I'm going to try for a little cheeky zander, quick, maybe a perch. What I was really hoping for today was a bit of top water action, but it's a lot colder than I thought it would be today. Not only colder, I was expecting a lot of sunshine, and there's none of that today. Still, simple bit of jigging with the drunk bait, but 8 centimeter on a 10-gram jig head. Way overweighted for this lake. Gets to about 8 feet at its absolute depths. I think it's too cold for, well, not too cold, but not enough sun for most of these, well, for the pike to be showing near the surface. What I was really hoping for was some nice, easy top water pike fishing. I was going to bust the frog. Love doing a bit of frog fishing, some of my favourite fishing that you can do. Instead, we'll start off with this drunk bait, see if we can't nab a little zander or a perch or a pike. I've got a wire on, just because I was planning to use this light tur rod for pike on the top water. But what we do have on us is my new BFS rig. I've not got it set up for BFS necessarily, just a little bit of light fishing. I've got some light fluoro on, and I'm going to do some perch fishing on it. I think little tiny, 6 centimeter shads, little 3-gram egg jig heads, and we'll see what we can catch. If you like this drunk bait, I'm hoping for some good fishing here today. But just an hour or two, we'll give it a go. In any case, this is a great bait for chucking around, so I'm going to stick with it for now, to see if we can't pick something up. What I was doing last session was some of these really fast, not last session here, last session fishing with this bait was just these really fast, quick bumps, bring the bait up. A lot of weed down there somewhere. Yeah, real fast reels, bring the bait up quickly, and then just let it sink right back down to the bottom. We're on a 7-gram jig head, actually. I thought it was on a 7-gram jig head. Thankfully, I know this lake fairly well, so I do know where most of the kind of snaggy waters are. There'll be tree branches down here. There's a load of lily beds off to the right. This is usually quite open in front of us. Oh. I think we've picked up some weed though. Reasonable clarity in here, all things considered. Bet we're pulling some weed through there now. We've seen a lot of activity on the canal recently. It's like pike have started waking up post spawn, and yeah, you can't really waste those opportunities. Get some great fish, and if they're as aggressive as they have been for me on the canals, we could get some really good fishing done here today. Good colour though, I think, to be starting this champagne like colour. I think this is the Cappuccino Clara from LMAB, drunk bait, 8 centimeter. Got them on a 10-gram jig head, probably a little too heavy for water like this, but it's a nice jig head that I've got with a reasonable hook on it, so I'm going to stick with it for now. Let this bait hit the bottom, a couple of quick turns, hit the bottom, quick turns, Quick turns. Quick turns. Slow and steady in for this last little section. Never know when there's a pike just hanging in the margins waiting to ambush something, and bait like this is exactly what it'll hit. Back end over on that corner, there's a little outlet. Usually a lot of activity around there, so we'll have a little walk just around to the edge. I'm not going to go right the way across now. I don't know how flooded it is going to be on the other side. We'll see. But if it's slick over there, I don't want to be walking over there and get too messed up. For me, I was absolutely banged up by pike, perch and zander. Not sure it was the last time I came, maybe the time before. We're not seeing the surface activity, but usually down in front of me there's some good pike. Out towards the middle, good zander. You also get some decent perch around some of these close in margins. So we're keeping an eye out for anything. Got to watch out for snags. Maybe I'll slow things down a little bit. I don't want to drop down the weight too much. If I do, I will get the light kit and we'll give our new rod a go on the 3 gram. It's not quite the BFS sort of fishing that I want, but it's a good start just to practice with the rod, get it, make sure it's all running smoothly. I bought 2 reels when I did the thing because there was a cheap option that I really wanted to give a go. I'm gonna have a little play with that and see how well it works. Move on just to this section. There's a lot of kind of silt deposit, really hard to walk on without slipping, but there's a lot of gravel underfoot, and we're gonna have some big casts right out into the middle with the zander like to hang around. Be much better in the evening, but it's not too sunny or anything, and we're still, you know, early spring, so they might be feeding this time of day still reasonably well. And this lake's been flooded for a while, so without people fishing them, they're relying on kind of the natural bait that's in here. Lots of small silvers for them, but it can mean that kind of like on a fresh session where it hasn't been fished for a while, the fish can be quite active. There's a few tops over there that I've just seen. That's where I'm heading next, so you never know, we might catch some nice fish. Not too sure on this setup because I'm using the wire for kind of zander and things, but if there's pike around, they'll hit this bait still. And that's what I'm really after right now. Once we can prove there's good activity, we can change up a little bit if we want. Perch should be easy to focus on with that new BFS setup. It's got like a 4-5 centimeter little green shad on, which will work with some of the slightly more coloured water quite well. 3 gram jig head, which means we can fish it a little bit slower, a little bit more finesse, which is exactly what you need for perch. We're just casting around to have a little go, see what we can see. Still yet to catch a zander using wire, but it's just a relatively thin wire. It's not single strand like some of my, what is it, titanium and nickel stuff that I've got, but this this 7 strand that I've got is fairly small. It's a 15 pound option. I think it's 0.35, maybe 0.25 mil, so it's not massive. In the right conditions, this lake is surprisingly one of my favorite places to fish out of season. It can really produce some nice fish, really aggressive pike, lots of options, places to fish. I'll cast along this edge here. Don't want to go stomping too close to the edges just in case there are pike there. It probably won't be this sort of time of day, or at least with this weather. If there was a bit more sun, they might be hanging in closer to the margins. Yeah, it really doesn't take long to get onto the bottom today. It's not very deep here, as I said. It is a little bit flooded still, about 6 to 7 feet usually in the deepest sections, so maybe 7 or 8. Feels like we're hitting some soft bottom where we are, maybe some reeds or lily pads that haven't quite come through yet. Getting the bottom now though, I think. Yeah, not quite so hard, so it's probably still a soft bed. This is a venue that I tend to get hit up pretty quickly if the fish are feeding, but it may just be a case that they're not interested in the smaller stuff. Thankfully we've got a medium set up. We've got our favourite Fox Rage, although we've only got a few colours of it. We'll give that a go down here. Just pulled him through quite a lot of weed. Yeah, another block of weed there. This is definitely a venue where, when it's hot, as in when the lake's fishing well, it is really fishing well. And when it's not, fish few and far between, and that might be what we're on to today. You can usually tell when the fish are active because it's such a shallow lake. You can see a lot of the movement. When it drops clear, you can see things like the carp, the silhouettes cruising, and when the pike are about, you usually see them in the margins. So this lure feels very, very light. The reel, very, very light. Sorry, the rod, incredibly light. The reel, very light, but it doesn't seem quite as smooth as I want it on the cast. It is casting quite away for a 3 gram jig head with minimal effort. I've clearly not got it set up just yet. The cast control or tension adjustment seems to be a little bit kind of non-adjustable side. I think I'm getting a lot of kind of movement in it, a lot of change for very little movement, so it's either kind of on fully or not on at all. If I put it on not at all, I will probably be able to cast quite far, but at the expense of potential knots in the line. So lily pad's just down here, which provides me a great opportunity to snag up my light fluoro leader and snap off. That's a decent cast for such a light setup. Reel definitely feels a bit like the limiting factor at the minute. I've got the line slightly overspooled. And I'm just trying to bump it off the bottom, so it's a few swift turns and a pause till it hits. Because it's the perch I'm after with this primarily. A little bit of movement just down there. Shame not to cast over to it. Have a little trike. Feels nice. I think after we've had a few casts with this, we'll probably start getting used to it. I would like to fish it with something just a little bit heavier, just to see how fast we can whip the lure. Definitely seeing a lot more activity on this side than we were on the other side. Just letting ourselves hit the bottom. Once we're on the bottom, it's a few turns, not too fast. It's nice and steady. It doesn't take much to get the tail moving on this thing. Oh, that was a hit. Okay, could be onto something with this. It's a nice little hit, to be honest. Probably a perch, I would think. Could have been a small pike, plenty of those in here. So we just let him hit the bottom, which is on. A couple of slowish turns and another pause, and he got hit on the drop. Got some super tiny baits as well. Other patterns of this sort of bait. I'm not sure what I've brought on with me, so I'm just sticking quite small today. This was only to test out how it cast. I wasn't expected to catch loads of fish. Just try a slow, steady retrieve. See if that gets us anything. Yeah, the problem for us right now is that because of the long leader, we can't have the rod set up to the right position. Sorry, the line set up to the right position for casting. So we're a little bit of a disadvantage for casting, but we're still casting a reasonable distance with such a light lure. Try a slightly more twitchy approach, slow it down a bit more. Yeah, there's a good example. It's a nice movement over there. We'll have a little flick over there. There's some snags right up in here, so we've got to be careful of those. But another hit. That was a better one as well. We slightly slowed it down a bit. I think we might have found a shoal of perch just here. It's definitely nice to feel hits on a light setup like this. The tip's not quite so flexible as my slightly longer rod either. Haven't seen any of the fish that are hitting yet, so it could still be anything. Just loosened off that casting a little bit just to see if we can get a little bit more movement. Braid's quite big, so my knot's relatively big. I just want to catch one of these fish on this light setup. Now we can just prove that you know, it's a reasonable little setup. Nice, got something. Hoping for a perch. That's a little tiny pike. That little guy. Yeah, cheeky little pike. Well, we're not going to be able to hold this fella for long, but super teeny tiny little jack pike. There should be some bigger fish around. Wasn't expecting a pike. Let's see if we can get another. Oh, and straight off. So back to the spot where we were getting some reasonable hits from what I assume was perch. Could have been pike in hindsight. We will see. If it is pike, we will probably pack up, get the heavier kit. Oh, medium kit. Let's see if we can't catch a few pike. Oh. Nice, we're in. Oh, it just come off. Just come off. After flinging that really light stuff for a while, chucking a 15-gram jig head just feels so heavy. No complaints from me though. We'll see if we can catch something. We don't need to cast far with this bait. We're just trying for the margins, the little areas of cover that we think fish might be on. We're going to check out this back section here where I was earlier, and we had a couple of hits. I reckon there's a big pike to be had around today. A pike or two if we can. Obviously we had that little one. It's twisted here now, you're tightening them up. We had that little one on the light kit. That was kind of unexpected. Nice little fish to have had. So happy with that. But I do want something a bit bigger. They can get pretty monstrous in this lake because the water from the Severn floods in and brings in some pretty big fish. But that said, most of the fish that I've had out of here, pike, are kind of around that 3 to 4 pound mark. That was a fish. We had a little wrap around the tail and didn't quite hook up. Let's try that again. Exactly the same sort of cast, run across exactly the same sort of waters. Just see if we can't catch that fish. These Fox Rage Pro Grabs are one of the easiest baits I find to fish with. You just basically can straight retrieve them. Keep it at a nice, consistent, slow pace. Usually it's enough to bring a fish in. Yeah, a new switch into this heavier setup was a good call. I don't think we'll see that one again. He definitely felt the hooks. Did not get a set on that at all. But I reckon we can get a couple on this medium setup now. It's going to be a case of fishing the areas we know pike like to hang out. The margins, we've got an outlet over on the corner which usually holds some good fish. So we'll give that a go. Oh, I was really hoping that little whip out fella was going to be a sign of things to come, and we were just going to have a bang up, you know, half an hour fishing on this kit. There's some good spots to fish still. I want to fish down towards my left here and stand on this a bit. Give it a go. What's that? Oh, it's a fish. It's a fairly sizable fish, pulling line. My goodness, this is a massive pike. Just trying to keep our attention on this fella whilst we bring him in. Oh, it is a beast of a fish. And away, he's noticed us. He's in the net. It felt like a day for PBs. But my goodness, look at the size of that thing. He is just on a meter. He's coming in at 14 pounds. It's a nice fish. Absolute biggest I've had from this this lake. We're gonna get him back real quick. Look at that thing. Well, he didn't put up much of a scrap, not compared to a lot of the fish, but when he knew I was there, he could just strip line that thing. It just felt like dead weight initially. He hit it on the drop, and then boy did he start fighting just as he was coming in close. What a fish though. What a fish. I'm not saying we're not going to catch anything from this same spot, but maybe we need to try a few different directions on the cast. I'm going to move around a bit. Really muddy on this side. Glad I've always got my own hooking mat. Even that fish still managed to get a little bit muddy on the mat. This should be a good little spot for a decent fish, just tucked up under this under this tree here. What we have got though is an absolutely spot on cast just down this left side. That's a good cast, but we need to work around some of this overhanging tree. We passed it, yeah. That's another fish. Another fairly sizable something. Oh my goodness, he is stripping line. Let's tighten that drag up. This one knows he's hooked. Don't give him too much slack. Oh. And he's in. No. Nope. He's in. Actual in. Well, guys, I'm almost certain this is the same fish. Feels the same. It's more or less exactly the same weight. Does look a little bit bigger. But look at that thing. What an absolute monster. Beautiful fish. Let's get him back. Well guys, look at the state of me. I'm covered in mud. I'm absolutely plastered in the stuff. Drop me a like and subscribe. If those two fish ain't worth it, I don't know what is. Whoa. Lure just down here in front of me. Let's just snag him up. Okay. Well, cost me a wet sleeve, but it's a Fox Rage Pro grub in one of the I don't know what colour that is. It's like just the regular perch, maybe, I don't know. Decent. I'll take that. Guys, 2 metre plus fish, 2 metre plus fish. One 16 pound, one 14 pound. Picture of them side by side. They're not the same fish. Happy days. I'll see you in the next one.